Transform your body and your health. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 key elements, things to follow. If you just follow the disciplines within these areas, you will have success with your health and body. So first things first is to consider having a clear, specific goal. So we'll do a little goal setting exercise right now. So if you could wave a realistic magic wand and you can have your body, your health, your energy, any kind of way you wanted it to be, what would that be like for you? And volume check. So goal setting, goal setting exercise. So if you could have your body, your health, your energy, any kind of way you wanted it to be over the next 6 months to a year, what would that be like for you? And I encourage you to get clear and specific. The more clear and the more specific you can be, the better. Right? So we'll do a little goal setting exercise together. For example, my goal is to be at least 190 pounds and at or below 10% body fat. So that is a very clear, very specific goal. So what is your goal? If you could have it any kind of way you wanted it to be, if you could ideally narrow it down to a specific body weight and body fat percent, that will be ideal, right? So that way you have a very clear, specific target, right? So, and why is that important? It's important to have a clear, specific target so you have something to shoot for. You know exactly what it is you're going for. It's really hard to shoot or to achieve a goal, particularly a fitness goal, if you don't even know what the goal is. A lot of people don't even have a clear goal, so they're not really sure where they're going, right? So when it comes to your health and fitness, your body, consider having a very clear, very specific goal. So ideally narrow it down to a specific body weight and specific body fat percent, right? So ideally lock that down. So just think about it, whatever it is for you. You don't have to put it in the chat or anything. Just do it inside your mind. If you could have it any kind of way you wanted it to be, what would your ideal body weight and body fat percent be? Think about that. All right, now that you have that number, let's say I'm going to pretend you have the number. All right. So now we're going to frame it up into a affirmation/prayer, right? And it goes like this. I am happy and grateful now that I am, and then state your body weight and body fat percent. I'll use myself as an example. I do this every day. I am happy and grateful now that I am at least 190 pounds and at or below 10% body fat, right? That's a very clear, very specific goal, right? So now I'll run it through with you if you want to do along together, all right? I am happy and grateful now that I am, plug in your body weight, plug in your body fat percent, right? If you just do that affirmation, of course, then follow the basic principles, it's going to really help you so much. So again, I'll just rephrase it one more time. Here's the affirmation/prayer for your fitness goals. I am happy and grateful now. That's the setup. I am happy and grateful now that I am, state your body weight, state your body fat percent, right? That's affirmation. Every morning when I drive to the studio, I say it out loud. I am happy and grateful now that I am at least 190 pounds and at or below 10% body fat, feeling strong and healthy like a supple leopard. So see, you can go on and say other stuff too, right? Make this up in your mind, have fun with it. I encourage you to go at this goal setting exercise. Go at it with a child's like enthusiasm. Just very enthusiastic, very curious, right? Very curious, right? So that's your affirmation/prayer. I am happy and grateful now that I am, and then plug in your body weight, and your body fat percent goal. Now, the big five, like what I call the big five fundamentals that if you follow the principles within these areas, you'll be successful. Training, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, mindset. I once had a mentor of mine who used to say that in any major area of life, there are really only about a half a dozen things or so that if you follow the principles within those main fundamentals of that area, you'll be successful. And when it comes to fitness, it's the same thing. But I really feel like there's probably five. You can break it down a number of different ways, but I feel like there are basically five. The big five, called the big five: training, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, mindset. Right? So let's just break it down. Let's look at training. When it comes to training, say, for example, imagine for a moment that you have an airplane and you're flying along in this airplane, and on one engine you have cardiovascular engine. On the other engine, we have strength training engine, right? Ideally, we want to have both engines going strong on the airplane. So ideally, in your exercise program, consider having a good cardiovascular element to your program and a good strength training element to your program. And that's going to give you the best full flight options on your training. Right, combination of strength training and cardiovascular. Now, how do we build out a quality training program? There are basically five key principles of what I feel like are key principles to a quality training program. If you're taking notes: proper form, variety, intensity, proper training principles, and consistency. Very important, big five. Why is proper form so important? A couple big reasons. One, so that we don't get hurt. And then two, so that we're exercising the muscle effectively. So proper form. Variety. Why would variety be an important part of a training program? Why couldn't you just do the same workout over and over again for weeks and months? Well, have you ever heard of a plateau, right? A plateau is where your body gets to a certain level and doesn't want to break above that level, right? You've reached a plateau, right? So how do we break that plateau? Through variety. And there's all kind of ways to do variety. You can change the whole workout up, the way you blend, the body parts together. You can change different exercises. You can change different rep patterns from low reps to high reps. You can change the tempo, the speed of the movement. Let's say 3 seconds down, 1 second at the bottom, 1 second up, or we can go 5 seconds down, 1 second at the bottom, explosive up. I mean, there's many variations of ways to work, mix it up. So consider keeping variety into your program, right? So we talked about proper form, variety. Now let's look at intensity. What comes to mind when you think about exercising with intensity when it comes to an exercise program? What comes to mind? Challenging yourself, pushing it, right? Now imagine for a moment, say we're doing a chest press, right? And say we're going for 12 repetitions and we get to 9, 10, 11, and 12, and we barely get that 12th one. What would be the most beneficial part of that set? The first few reps or the last few reps? Well, I think it'd be the last few reps, right? And why would that be? That's where the challenge occurs. That's where the breakdown occurs. So when you're exercising, be sure to challenge yourself by using the principle of intensity, So that you're pushing into that breakdown, that strain, that's what's going to cause the muscles to grow back more. It's going to cause you to get stronger and more muscular. But it takes that intensity for you to break it down, for you to get that result, right? So we talked about proper form, variety, intensity. Let's look at number 4, proper training principles. There's all sorts of training principles, compound sets, supersets, drop sets, up and down the rack, 21s, rest pause. Just go online, go to Google or go to ChatGPT search and just look up what are different training principles. You'll get a lot of things, and it's one way to even add variety into the routine. But I put principles separately because I feel like it is important to include different training principles along the way. We kind of sprinkle them in like spices on a dish, right? So proper training principles, right? Okay. So we talked about proper form, variety, intensity, proper training principles. Now let's look at number 5, consistency, right? Why would the consistency be an important part of a good training program? Think about it. Imagine for a moment you have you and say you have a twin of you and you're going for the same goal, right? Now, you start off, you work out 4 days a week. You're eating 80, 90% perfect. You're getting your rest. You're supplementing intelligently. You're using your mindset. Now, the other person starts off that way, but then misses a workout here and there, eats junk here and there, skips a good meal here and there, doesn't get the full night's sleep here and there. Over the next year, who's going to have the best results? The consistent person, right? So the power of consistency, So be sure to include that. So just to summarize, the 5 principles of training: proper form, variety, intensity, proper training principles, and consistency. All right, now let's look at nutrition. Imagine for a moment that you want to build a beautiful 2-story house from scratch. Now imagine that we only have half the materials necessary to build the house. How far are we going to get? Part of the way, maybe halfway, right? The foods that you and I eat on a daily basis are like the supplies that goes towards to build that house. The foods that you and I eat on a daily basis are the supplies that goes to build our bodies. So what I recommend to consider a diet comprised of about 50% fruits and vegetables. That's easy to do, right? 25% whole grains and 25% plant-based proteins. If you want to dig a little deeper into the science of even why this on the science side, there's a multitude of reasons why this is good for you. But if you want to understand the science, consider watching the documentary The Game Changers. It's called The Game Changers. It's on YouTube. It's on a few other places. Consider that. The screen is smudging. Sorry. So consider that. Okay. Now, I feel like there are basically 4 different ways that food affects our bodies. Right? Affects our metabolism, our energy levels, our insulin levels, and our energy levels. So our metabolism, our energy levels, our insulin levels, and our blood sugar levels. Those are the 4 things. Now imagine for a moment that we have a fireplace. And on one hand, we have a stack of oak wood. And on the other hand, we have a stack of paper. Now, not including, kindling and getting the fire started. But if you had to choose between the oak wood or the paper to burn in your fireplace, which one would you pick and why? Most of us will pick the oak wood. And why? It's going to burn longer, slower, more efficiently, right? Well, foods like fruits and vegetables and whole grains and plant-based proteins like legumes, lentils, nuts, and seeds and delicious smoothies, they all burn like oak wood, slow and steady, right? And that's going to give you a nice, stable insulin and blood sugar level, which is going to take care of your body and get you nice and lean and healthy and optimize your energy levels. So consider that diet like that, right? Because you're going to improve your metabolism, your energy levels, your insulin levels, and your blood sugar levels. And why is that important? Well, have you heard of diabetes? Have you heard of heart disease? Have you heard of heart attacks, clogged arteries, sexual dysfunction? All these awful things, right? It doesn't have to happen. So we want to keep our arteries nice and clean and clear by having a healthy, ideally a healthy diet is going to really help keep your arteries nice and clear and very healthy. And that's going to be great for you, right? It's going to be good for you. You being healthy is going to be good for you. It's going to be good for your family, and it's going to be good for your country. Because when you're healthy, you're not putting pressure on the medical system. You're not putting pressure on your financial burden for medical bills. When you're healthy, you're not spending money on tons of extra doctor visits and medicines for diabetes and heart disease and blood pressure, statins and all this kind of stuff. You're not spending money on that kind of stuff. So it helps you in all kind of ways. Do it for yourself, do it for your family, and do it for your country. Be healthy and fit. Transform your body and your health, right? So we talked about training, nutrition, recovery. Let's look at supplementation. I feel there are basically two different categories of supplementation: nutritional supplementation and enhancement performance supplementation. Nutritional supplementation is like a good protein shake. And I can recommend some to consider. And then also and then enhancement performance supplements is like creatine, for example. It's a very good for increasing strength if that is your goal, right? So enhancement performance supplementation and nutritional supplementation, two basic categories, right? Then last but not least is mindset. Let's break down the big five to transform your health and body is exercise, nutrition, recovery, which we didn't really get into recovery. Let's go into recovery. With recovery, over the last several years, I've been fascinated in studying recovery. And everything that's pointed me to is about, on average, for humans, we need 7.5 to 9 hours sleep a night. About 2 hours of REM and 2 hours of deep. Now, what are some of the best ways to get that? One thing is not eating at least 2 hours before bedtime. So if your sleep time is 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock, right? And if you can, and if you're trying to improve yourself, work it up to a 3 to 4 hour where you stop eating before bedtime. What this does is it helps slow your heart rate down. Remember, we talked about nutrition. When you eat a healthy meal, your metabolism gets increased, which is normally good. But we don't want to boost the metabolism before bedtime. So ideally, you can push your last eating window prior to sleep 3 to 4 hours. You're going to cruise into a lower heart rate. So as you get ready to go to sleep, say you're going to sleep at 9 o'clock, say your last meal was at 6 o'clock, you have 3 hours to cool your body down, to cool it down and have a lower heart rate before you go to bed. And that's what I'm striving to do and working on that. It's fascinating. I encourage you to do the same thing. So optimize your sleep. A few other things you can do to assist you is to make your room really a cool environment. Another thing you can do is to minimize blue screens an hour or two before sleep time. And then also, two, having consistent going to sleep times and wake up times. So say you go 9 to 6, say that's you. Then that's perfect. 9 to 6 every day, 9 to 6, you're in the bed. That's just setting that routine, that consistent routine is valuable. It's that power of, we talked about consistency earlier, the power of consistency. If you have a sleep routine, I've even heard some people go so far as to say is a good night's sleep is probably the number one thing almost all of us can do to optimize our health and take it to the next level. So just think about that. If you can do just that, you're moving your health in the right direction. So every night you get good quality sleep, right? So something to consider. So we talked about supplements already. Let's wrap it up with mindset. So imagine for a moment, we talked about earlier with the nutrition about building a house. Imagine you're trying to build a dream house of some sort. Just say you have a dream house and say you're going to draw up the blueprint. Say you have all the stuff, you get ready to buy the dream house, but you haven't quite mapped out the details. So what do? You get a blueprint. You get an architect to draw up a blueprint of every single thing about the house, right? I encourage you to make a fitness blueprint. Make a fitness blueprint for yourself. Know exactly what it is you want to achieve. So let's do it together. If you could wave a realistic magic wand and you could have your body, your health, your energy, any kind of way you wanted it to be, what would that look like for you? And ideally, narrow it down to a specific body weight and body fat percent. Know exactly what it is you want to achieve, ideally. Right? Now, that's part of that blueprint. And you can even make it bigger. I elaborate on mine. I told you earlier, I said I'm happy, but my affirmation, my basic affirmation is, and I have a longer one, but is I am happy and grateful now that I am at least 190 pounds and at or below 10% body fat, feeling strong and healthy like a supple leopard. So see how I put that mental image in myself? I want to feel strong and healthy like a supple leopard, right? So I think about that, how that feels, and that's how I want to feel. And that's what I'm striving for, right? So what is your goal? Do you have it locked down? Do you have a specific body weight and body fat percent goal down? I encourage you to do it. And not only do it for do it for a couple reasons. Do it for yourself and what it's going to do for you. You're going to feel so good when you're feeling your best. Do it for yourself. Do it for your friends and family, especially if you have other family that count on your income. Because if you're in the overweight obesity category, chances are you're going to you're going to spend a lot of money on healthcare. So think about, do it for yourself, do it for your family, do it for your finances. You're going to ultimately save money, right? And do it for your country, because as a country, imagine being healthier. You're putting less strain on the healthcare system. You're not going in with a heart attack or diabetes or all these things that's really lifestyle related. So do it for yourself, do it for your family and your finances, and do it for your country. All right. So let's summarize. We talked about the big five. How to transform your health and body is training, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, and mindset. Now, sometimes I know it's not enough to know what to do, but just doing it, right? And sometimes we want help, but we don't want help from a partner or a spouse or a loved one because they don't want to nag us over these kind of things, right? Sometimes we need help from a professional. So if you're working on your fitness goals and you want to get to the next level, that's what I do is I do personal fitness coaching. So I coach people in my local area, hands-on with one-on-one training, but I do personal fitness coaching where I can develop you an exercise program for you specifically and help you walk that path, coach you on that path, right? If you're interested in a complimentary consultation to go over this, no pitch, anything, I'll give you everything I can in that amount of time. I will assist you and show you the plan for your success, and then I'll show you how I can assist you with coaching if you're interested. If you're interested in that, the details to the to have a Calendly link, you can register right on that, or you can text me to my cell phone, the word FIT, to 520-400-9573, and we'll set up a consultation and let's get you going. It's time for you to be the best you can be. Be blessed, and remember that health is wealth. Without our health, doesn't matter what earthly possessions we have, health is wealth, right? Be blessed, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.